The Galactic Martial Arts Tournament. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, nestled within the bustling Orion Arm, lay the prestigious Zephyrian Academy of Martial Arts. For millennia, it had stood as a beacon of discipline, strength, and interspecies cooperation. Every 50 years, the Academy hosted the Galactic Martial Arts Tournament, drawing competitors from across the known universe. Grand Master Xelax, a venerable Zephyrian with iridescent scales and piercing silver eyes, gazed out from his office window. The tournament grounds buzzed with activity as beings from 1,000 worlds prepared for the upcoming festivities. Xelax's assistant, a young Volian named Zira, entered the room, her feathers ruffling with excitement. "Grand Master, the preparations are complete," Zira chirped, her avian features barely containing her enthusiasm. "This year's tournament promises to be the most diverse yet." Xelax nodded sagely, his long beard swaying gently. "Indeed, Zira. And yet, I sense a change in the cosmic winds. Something unexpected approaches." As if on cue, a holographic communication sprang to life on Xelax's desk. The flickering image revealed Ambassador Krell, a Centaurian diplomat known for his level-headedness. "Grand Master Xelax," Krell's gravelly voice filled the room, "I bring news that may complicate this year's tournament." Xelax's brow furrowed. "Speak freely, old friend." Krell cleared his throat, an action that involved all three of them. "The Galactic Council has decided to extend an invitation to a newly discovered species. They call themselves humans." Zira's feathers stood on end. "Humans? I've never heard of them. Are they skilled in the martial arts?" Krell's expression, difficult to read for non-Centaurians, seemed to convey a mix of amusement and concern. "That's just it. We're not entirely sure. Their planet, Earth, has been isolated from galactic affairs until now, but initial observations suggest they possess unusual abilities." Xelax stroked his beard thoughtfully. "Unusual how?" "Well," Krell continued, "their physical capabilities seem unremarkable at first glance. But they have this tenacity, a drive that defies logic, and their martial arts. Let's just say they're unlike anything we've seen before." The Grand Master's eyes narrowed. "Are you suggesting they could pose a threat to the tournament's integrity?" Krell shook his head vigorously. No, nothing like that. It's just, well, you'll see. They're sending a small delegation. I thought you should be prepared." As the hologram flickered out, Xelax turned to Zira. "It seems our tournament just became more interesting. Prepare a welcome for our new human guests, and perhaps we should review the tournament rules, just in case." Zira nodded and hurried out, leaving Xelax to his thoughts. The Grand Master's gaze returned to the window, watching as ships from across the galaxy continued to arrive. Among them, he knew, would be a small vessel from a blue planet called Earth. Little did he know that its passengers would change the face of galactic martial arts forever. In the days that followed, the Zephyrian Academy became a melting pot of cultures and fighting styles. Hulking Cronan warriors with stone-like skin practiced their earth-shattering techniques alongside lithe Aetherian energy manipulators. Tentacled Octhulians demonstrated their fluid, water-like movements, while Pyronix fighters showcased their explosive, flame-inspired kata. Amidst this tapestry of alien martial arts, a small, unassuming ship docked at the Academy's spaceport. As its doors hissed open, a group of 5 humans stepped out, blinking in the light of Zephyria's twin suns. Leading the group was Sarah Chen, a compact woman with a fierce glint in her eyes. Behind her stood Marcus Tank Johnson, a mountain of a man whose t-shirt strained against his muscled frame. Rounding out the team were the lithe and graceful Aisha Okafor, the unassuming but sharp-eyed Raj Patel, and the eldest of the group, the silver-haired veteran Jack O'Neill. As they surveyed their surroundings, their expressions ranged from awe to determination. Sarah stepped forward, addressing her team. "Remember, we're not just here to compete. We're representing Earth. Let's show the galaxy what humans are made of." Their arrival did not go unnoticed. Whispers rippled through the gathered aliens, a mix of curiosity and skepticism. Many had never seen a human before, and initial impressions were mixed. They looked so fragile. A Cronan warrior rumbled, his rocky skin glistening in the sunlight. An Aetherian floated nearby, her translucent body shimmering with inner light. And yet, there's something about them. A spark I can't quite place. As the human team made their way towards the registration area, they found themselves face to face with Grand Master Xelax himself. The Zephyrian's imposing presence caused even Tank to stand a little straighter. Xelax's silver eyes scanned the group, his expression unreadable. "Welcome, humans of Earth, to the Galactic Martial Arts Tournament. I am Grand Master Xelax. We are honored by your presence." Sarah stepped forward, bowing deeply. "The honor is ours, Grand Master. We're here to learn, to compete, and to share our own martial arts with the galaxy." A flicker of curiosity passed across Xelax's face. "Your own martial arts, you say? And what might those be?" The humans exchanged glances, a mix of pride and mischief in their eyes. Jack, the veteran, spoke up, his voice gruff but respectful. "Well, sir, we've brought a variety. Kung Fu, Capoeira, Krav Maga, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and a little something we like to call good old-fashioned boxing." Xelax's brow furrowed slightly, unfamiliar with these terms. Intriguing. "And these arts, they are effective against beings of various physiologies." Tank grinned, cracking his knuckles. "We're about to find out, aren't we?" The Grand Master's expression remained neutral, but there was a glimmer of something, perhaps amusement, perhaps concern, in his eyes. "Indeed you are. The preliminary rounds begin tomorrow. I suggest you rest and prepare. The competition will be formidable." As Xelax turned to leave, Zira approached, her feathers now a calm blue. "Please, allow me to show you to your quarters. And if you have any questions about the tournament rules or procedures, I'd be happy to assist." As the humans followed Zira, the gathered aliens continued to watch and whisper. The arrival of this new species had injected an element of unpredictability into the tournament. Some saw it as an exciting development, others as a potential disruption to the established order. Little did anyone know, the true impact of humanity's participation was yet to be revealed. As the first day of the Galactic Martial Arts Tournament dawned, the stage was set for a series of events that would reshape the very foundations of interstellar martial arts, and perhaps the galaxy itself. In their assigned quarters, the human team gathered for a final strategy session. Sarah paced the room, her energy palpable. "All right, team. We've trained for this. We may not have fancy energy manipulation or rock-solid skin, but we've got something they've never seen before." Raj, ever the analyst, chimed in. "From what I've observed, most of the alien martial arts rely heavily on their unique physiologies. They might not be prepared for the versatility of human techniques." Aisha nodded, stretching her limber frame. "Capoeira is going to blow their minds. They won't know whether we're fighting or dancing." Tank grinned, shadowboxing in a corner. "And wait till they get a load of these hands. Ain't no alien ready for a good old right hook." Jack, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke up. "Remember, it's not just about winning. We're here to learn too. Keep your eyes open, adapt, and most importantly, have fun. We're making history here, kids." As night fell on Zephyria, the human team settled in for rest, their minds racing with the possibilities that tomorrow would bring. Across the academy, alien competitors did the same, many wondering about the strange new species that had joined their ranks. The stage was set, the players were ready. And as Zephyria's twin moons cast their ethereal light over the tournament grounds, the galaxy held its breath, unaware that it was on the cusp of a martial arts revolution. Humans enter the arena. The first rays of Zephyria's twin suns had barely crested the horizon when the tournament grounds erupted into a flurry of activity. Competitors from across the galaxy stretched, meditated, and performed last-minute warm-ups, each according to their species' unique physiology and customs. In the human quarters, Sarah Chen led her team through a series of stretches and breathing exercises. "Remember," she said, her voice calm but intense, "we're not just representing Earth. We're representing humanity's potential." As they made their way to the main arena, the human team couldn't help but marvel at the diversity around them. Creatures of all shapes, sizes, and compositions moved with purpose, some floating, others slithering, and a few that seemed to defy the laws of physics entirely. Grandmaster Xelak stood at the center of the massive arena, his voice amplified by some unseen technology. "Welcome, esteemed competitors, to the 10,000th Galactic Martial Arts Tournament. May your techniques be true, your spirits unbreakable, and your conduct honorable." The preliminary rounds were organized into multiple smaller arenas, each overseen by a judge from a different species. The human teams split up, each headed to a different arena for their first matches. Aisha found herself facing off against a gelatinous blob from the Andromeda galaxy. As the match began, she launched into a series of capoeira moves, her body twisting and flowing in ways that seemed to confuse her amorphous opponent. The blob attempted to engulf her, but Aisha's agility and the unpredictable nature of capoeira kept her just out of reach. "Fascinating," murmured the Aetherian judge, its body pulsing with curiosity. The human's movements seemed to serve both offensive and defensive purposes simultaneously. In another arena, Tank squared off against a Cronan warrior. The rocky alien towered over Tank, its fists like boulders. But as the Cronan launched a devastating punch, Tank slipped to the side with surprising agility for his size and delivered a thunderous body shot. The impact echoed through the arena, and for a moment, everything went silent. Then, to everyone's shock, the Cronan staggered back, actual cracks appearing in its stony exterior. "Impossible," roared the Cronan's coach from the sidelines. "No flesh-based life form should be able to damage Cronan physiology." Tank, grinning despite the pain in his knuckles, settled back into his boxing stance. "That's the thing about us humans," he quipped. "We tend to do 6 impossible things before breakfast." Meanwhile, Raj found himself in a battle of wits as much as physicality. His opponent, a mentalist from the Cygnus system, attempted to predict and counter his every move. But Raj's training in Krav Maga, with its emphasis on neutralizing threats quickly and efficiently, proved a challenge for the telepathic alien. Just as the mentalist thought it had read Raj's intentions, the human would change tactics abruptly, his strikes precise and devastatingly effective. The Octhulian judge, its tentacles writhing with excitement, made notes furiously. The human's ability to alter its strategy mid-combat is remarkable. It's as if their minds are in constant flux. Sarah, meanwhile, showcased the fluid yet powerful movements of kung fu against a multi-limbed exertion. Her opponent's extra arms seemed like an overwhelming advantage at first, but Sarah's mastery of redirecting force turned those limbs into liabilities. She flowed around the exertion's attacks, using its own momentum to throw it off balance. "Most intriguing," chittered the insectoid judge. "The human's technique seems to emphasize harmony with the opponent's energy, rather than direct opposition." But it was Jack, the veteran, who truly captured the attention of the entire arena. Paired against a Pyronyx fighter, whose body emanated intense heat, Jack seemed severely outmatched. The temperature around the ring rose to nearly unbearable levels for most species. Yet Jack stood there, calm and collected, his weathered face showing no sign of discomfort. As the Pyronyx launched a barrage of flame-enhanced strikes, Jack moved with an economy of motion that spoke of decades of experience. He didn't dodge every attack. Instead, he chose his movements carefully, conserving energy and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When that moment came, it was like watching poetry in motion. Jack closed the distance in the blink of an eye, his hands moving in a blur. Before anyone could process what had happened, the Pyronyx fighter was on the ground, its flames extinguished, tapping out in submission. A hush fell over the arena, broken only by the sound of Jack helping his opponent to its feet. "Good match," he said simply, bowing with respect. From his vantage point, Grandmaster Xelax watched the human performances with growing interest. "Zira," he called to his assistant, "make a note. We may need to reevaluate our understanding of advanced martial arts." As the preliminary rounds concluded, word spread quickly through the tournament grounds. The humans, initially dismissed as fragile curiosities, had proven themselves to be formidable competitors. More than that, their diverse fighting styles and adaptability had caught the attention of martial artists from across the galaxy. In the competitors' lounge, a buzz of excitement and apprehension filled the air. Aliens of all species huddled together, discussing the unexpected turn of events. "Did you see how that small one moved?" a Xerxian exclaimed, its multiple eyes wide with amazement. It was like watching water flow through an obstacle course. A Cronan nurse, tending to the warrior tank it faced, shook its rocky head in disbelief. "I've never seen damage like this from a soft-bodied species. Their physical strength defies their appearance." Even the defeated Pyronyx fighter, still cooling down, joined the conversation. It wasn't just strength, it hissed, steam rising from its body. "The old one. He read my movements as if he'd been fighting Pyronyx for centuries. But that's impossible." As the day's events wound down, the human team regrouped in their quarters, tired but exhilarated. Sarah looked at her team with pride. "Great work out there, everyone. But remember, this is just the beginning. Tomorrow, the real challenges start." Raj, ever the strategist, was already analyzing their performances. "We've certainly made an impression, but we've also revealed some of our capabilities. The other competitors will be better prepared tomorrow." Aisha nodded, her body still buzzing with adrenaline. "Then we'll just have to keep surprising them. They haven't seen everything we can do yet." Tank, nursing his bruised knuckles, grinned widely. "Bring it on. I haven't had this much fun in years." Jack, quiet as always, simply smiled. "Just remember," he said softly, "the greatest strength of humanity isn't in our fists or our feet. It's in here." He tapped his temple. "And in here." He placed a hand over his heart. As night fell on Zephyria once again, the atmosphere at the Galactic Martial Arts Tournament had shifted dramatically. The humans, once an afterthought, were now the talk of the event. Competitors and spectators alike wondered what other surprises these strange, adaptable beings might have in store. Little did they know, the true impact of humanity's participation was yet to be fully revealed. As the tournament progressed, the boundaries between alien and human martial arts would blur, leading to innovations and collaborations that would reshape the very foundations of combat across the galaxy. The stage was set for a revolution in martial arts, with humanity standing at its center. And as the competitors rested and prepared for the challenges ahead, the stars themselves seemed to twinkle with anticipation of what the coming days would bring. Unexpected techniques and surprising results. As the tournament entered its second day, the atmosphere crackled with anticipation. News of the humans' unexpected prowess had spread like wildfire, drawing curious spectators from all corners of the galaxy. The stands were packed, a kaleidoscope of alien life forms jostling for the best views. Grandmaster Xelax stood at the center of the main arena, his voice carrying across the vastness. "Competitors, today we enter the advanced rounds. Remember, true victory lies not just in defeating your opponent, but in pushing the boundaries of your art. May your techniques inspire and your spirit shine." The human team gathered for a quick huddle before dispersing to their respective matches. Sarah's eyes gleamed with determination. "They'll be ready for our basic moves now. Time to show them what humanity's really capable of." In the first match of the day, Aisha faced off against a graviton, a being capable of manipulating local gravity fields. As the graviton attempted to pin Aisha to the ground with increased gravity, the human surprised everyone by incorporating elements of breakdancing into her capoeira. Using the increased downward force to her advantage, Aisha performed a series of ground moves that seemed to defy physics. She spun, twisted, and contorted her body in ways that left her opponent struggling to predict her movements. With a final, gravity-defying flip, she landed a decisive kick, sending the graviton tumbling out of the ring. The Aetherian judge's body pulsed with excitement. Extraordinary. The human has turned her opponent's strength into a weapon against them. Such adaptability. Meanwhile, Raj found himself pitted against a holographic entity, a being of pure light and energy capable of creating illusory duplicates of itself. As multiple versions of his opponent surrounded him, Raj closed his eyes, relying on his other senses. He began to move in a way that seemed almost meditative, his Krav Maga techniques blending with elements of Tai Chi. His movements were economical yet fluid, each strike dispelling an illusion until only the true holographic entity remained. Incredible, murmured the Octhulian judge. The human has found a way to center himself amidst chaos, turning a visual disadvantage into heightened awareness. Tank's match drew perhaps the largest crowd. He was paired against a quantum shifter, a being that could phase in and out of different dimensional states. As his opponent flickered in and out of reality, Tank seemed momentarily stunned. Then, to everyone's surprise, he began to dance. His movements were rhythmic, almost predictable. The quantum shifter, confused by this unorthodox approach, fell into the rhythm, its dimensional shifts synchronizing with Tank's movements. At the precise moment when the shifter phased back into this dimension, Tank unleashed a devastating combination of punches that sent shockwaves through the arena. The quantum shifter, caught off guard, solidified fully and dropped to the mat. The insectoid judge chittered in amazement. The human used rhythm as a predictive tool against an unpredictable opponent. Such innovative thinking. Sarah's match showcased a different kind of innovation. Facing a telekinetic from the Pleiades cluster, she found her traditional kung fu techniques being countered before she could execute them. In a moment of inspiration, she began incorporating elements of sign language into her movements. Her hands flowed in complex patterns, each gesture a feint that confused and misdirected her opponent's telekinetic predictions. When she finally struck, it was with a combination so unexpected that the telekinetic had no time to react. Fascinating, mused the Centaurian judge. The human has weaponized communication itself, turning a non-combat skill into a martial technique. But it was Jack's match that truly stole the show. Paired against a temporal manipulator, a being capable of slowing down or speeding up localized time, Jack seemed hopelessly outmatched. The arena watched in awe as the manipulator created bubbles of accelerated and decelerated time around Jack. Yet the old veteran remained calm. As his opponent sped up time around him, attempting to age him rapidly, Jack closed his eyes and began to breathe deeply. To everyone's shock, instead of withering, Jack seemed to grow more vibrant. He moved with the vitality of youth, yet struck with the wisdom of age. It was as if he had learned to surf the waves of time itself, using his opponent's temporal manipulations to draw upon the strength of his younger self and the experience of his older self simultaneously. The temporal manipulator, confused and increasingly desperate, tried to trap Jack in a bubble of slowed time. But Jack moved through it as if it were nothing more than a gentle breeze, his strikes landing with devastating precision. As the match concluded, with Jack standing victorious, a stunned silence fell over the arena. Grand Master Xalax, his eyes wide with wonder, approached the human. How is this possible?" he asked, his usual composure shaken. Jack smiled, the lines on his face deepening. "Where I come from, we have a saying. Age is just a number. I've lived every moment of my life, the good and the bad. All those experiences, all that time. It's not a weakness. It's my strength." As the day's matches concluded, the impact of the humans' performances rippled through the tournament. Competitors from across the galaxy huddled in groups, discussing what they had witnessed. A quantum shifter, still nursing its bruises, spoke in awe. "Did you see how they adapted? It's like they can rewrite their own programming on the fly." "It's more than that," added a telekinetic. "They're not just adapting to us. They're incorporating elements of their entire culture into their fighting styles. Every human experience becomes a potential weapon or defense." In the competitors' lounge, aliens of all species approached the human team, their initial skepticism replaced by burning curiosity. Questions flew fast and furious. "How do you come up with these techniques on the spot? Is all of humanity this adaptable, or are you special cases? Can you teach us some of your methods?" Sarah, speaking for the team, smiled warmly. "On Earth, we have thousands of martial arts styles, each with its own philosophy and approach. What you're seeing is the result of centuries of human innovation and cross-cultural exchange. And yes, we'd be happy to share, if you're willing to share your techniques with us in return." As night fell on the third day of the tournament, a new energy pulsed through the Zephyrian Academy. Impromptu training sessions sprang up everywhere, with humans and aliens eagerly exchanging techniques and ideas. In his private chambers, Grand Master Xalax sat in deep meditation, his mind grappling with the implications of what he had witnessed. The arrival of humans hadn't just added a new set of techniques to the galactic martial arts scene. It had introduced a whole new way of thinking about combat, adaptation, and the integration of diverse skills. As the stars twinkled overhead, the Galactic Martial Arts Tournament stood on the brink of a revolution. The boundaries between different martial arts traditions were blurring, giving birth to hybrid styles that had never been seen before in the history of the galaxy. As the harmonizer's power grew, the very air around the arena beginning to shimmer with cosmic energy, Jack stood calmly in the center of the ring. Then, to everyone's shock, he began to sing. It started as a low hum, barely audible over the thrumming power of the harmonizer. But as Jack's voice grew stronger, something extraordinary happened. The cosmic energies in the arena began to resonate with his song, a melody that seemed to carry echoes of every human culture and tradition. Jack's movements became a perfect fusion of martial skill and musical rhythm. Each strike, each block, each step was perfectly attuned to both his song and the cosmic frequencies his opponent was channeling. The harmonizer, for the first time in its existence, found itself out of sync with the universe, with a final, resounding note that seemed to shake the very foundations of reality. Jack struck. The harmonizer, its attunement shattered, stumbled back in defeat. A hush fell over the arena, broken only by the fading echoes of Jack's song. Grand Master Xalax, his composure finally breaking, approached the human with reverence in his eyes. "In all my centuries," the Grand Master said, his voice quavering, "I have never witnessed such a thing. You didn't just fight. You created art. You turned combat into a celebration of life itself." Jack smiled, the wisdom of ages in his eyes. "That's the true secret of human martial arts," he said softly. "It's not about destruction. It's about creation. Every movement, every technique is an expression of the human spirit, our joys, our sorrows, our hopes, and our dreams." As the day's matches concluded, the impact of the humans' performances was seismic. The lines between competitors and spectators blurred as impromptu training sessions broke out across the arena. Aliens of all species eagerly sought out the human team, hungry to learn, to share, to grow. In the competitors' lounge, heated discussions broke out among the galaxy's greatest martial artists. "We must rethink everything we know about combat," declared a quantum entangler, its form shimmering with excitement. "No," countered a psionic amplifier, its mental projections pulsing with new ideas. "We must rethink everything we know about existence itself. These humans don't just adapt to the universe. They reshape it through sheer force of will and creativity." As night fell on Zephyria, the Galactic Martial Arts Tournament had transformed into something far greater than a competition. It had become a crucible of innovation, a melting pot of techniques and philosophies from across the cosmos. And at the heart of it all stood humanity, not as conquerors, but as catalysts. Their presence had sparked a renaissance in martial arts, a new age of creativity and collaboration that promised to reshape the very fabric of galactic society. As the stars twinkled overhead, Grand Master Xalax stood on his balcony, gazing out at the Academy grounds teeming with beings from 1,000 worlds, all moving in new, hybrid forms of martial arts. The tournament is no longer just a test of skill, he mused to himself. It has become a celebration of unity, of the infinite potential that arises when diverse cultures come together in harmony. The final day of the tournament loomed, but regardless of its outcome, the galaxy had already been forever changed. The rise of human martial arts had ushered in a new era of intergalactic understanding and cooperation, with repercussions that would echo through the cosmos for eons to come. A new era of intergalactic cooperation. The dawn of the final day of the Galactic Martial Arts Tournament broke over Zephyria, painting the sky in hues of lavender and gold. The air thrummed with an energy that transcended mere excitement. It was the palpable sensation of history in the making. The grand arena, initially designed to host tens of thousands, now strained to contain hundreds of thousands of spectators from across the galaxy. Holographic projectors had been hastily installed to broadcast the events to billions more on countless worlds. As Grand Master Xalax took his place at the center of the arena, a hush fell over the assembled multitudes. His voice, usually so measured and composed, now carried a note of unmistakable awe. "Esteemed beings of the galaxy," he began, his words echoing across stars, "we stand at the threshold of a new age. What began as a test of martial prowess has blossomed into a celebration of unity, creativity, and the boundless potential of life itself. Today, we crown not just champions, but pioneers of a new way of thinking about combat, cooperation, and the very nature of existence." The final matches were set, but they bore little resemblance to the tournament's original structure. Instead of one-on-one bouts, the remaining competitors had formed mixed teams, blending species, techniques, and philosophies in ways never before imagined. And at the heart of it all stood humanity, adaptable, innovative, and ever surprising. The tournament was far from over, and the greatest changes were yet to come. The rise of human martial arts. As the tournament entered its fourth day, an unprecedented buzz of excitement filled the Zephyrian Academy. The remaining matches had been moved to the Grand Central Arena to accommodate the swelling crowds of spectators. Aliens of all species, from the highest-ranking officials to humble space traders, clamored for a chance to witness the revolutionary techniques that were reshaping galactic martial arts. Grand Master Xalax stood at the center of the arena, his voice carrying a note of wonder that belied his usual stoic demeanor. "Esteemed competitors and honored guests, we stand at a pivotal moment in the history of martial arts. Today, we not only witness great battles, but also the birth of new forms, the fusion of traditions millennia old with styles barely days in our awareness. Let us observe with open minds and eager hearts." The human team had become the focal point of the tournament, their matches drawing the most anticipation. As they prepared for their bouts, Sarah gathered her team for a final huddle. "Remember," she said, her eyes gleaming with pride and determination, "we're not just fighting for victory anymore. We're showing the galaxy the true spirit of human martial arts. Adaptability, creativity, and the unbreakable will to push beyond our limits." The day's matches began with Aisha facing off against a quantum entangler, a being capable of linking its movements across multiple points in space simultaneously. As her opponent's limbs seemed to appear from nowhere, striking from impossible angles, Aisha closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened them, her movements had changed. Her capoeira now flowed with the gentle power of Tai Chi, the explosive bursts of Muay Thai, and the fluid unpredictability of drunken boxing. She moved like water, filling the spaces between her opponent's strikes, her own attacks landing with precision and power. The Aetherian judge's body pulsed with astonishment. Remarkable. The human has created a hybrid style on the spot, countering quantum uncertainty with stylistic unpredictability. Next came Raj's bout against a psionic amplifier, a creature that could boost the psychic emissions of nearby beings, turning stray thoughts into physical forces. As the arena filled with manifested thought forms, Raj found himself dodging and weaving through a maelstrom of half-formed attacks. Drawing upon his training in Krav Maga and his knowledge of meditation techniques, Raj entered a state of mental clarity. He began to move with purpose, each step and strike not just a physical action but a focused thought. As he harmonized his mind and body, the chaotic thought forms around him began to dissipate. The Octhulian judge's tentacles writhed with excitement. Astounding! The human has turned the mental realm itself into a martial arena. Tank's match pitted him against a dimensional folder, a being that could manipulate the fabric of space, creating shortcuts between different points in the arena. As his opponent blinked in and out of existence around him, Tank took a moment to center himself. Then, to everyone's amazement, he began to incorporate elements of parkour into his boxing. He used the shifted terrain to his advantage, his movements becoming a three-dimensional dance of punches, flips, and unexpected trajectories. The dimensional folder, used to opponents disoriented by spatial distortions, found itself outmaneuvered in its own twisted domain. Inconceivable, chittered the insectoid judge. The human has adapted to spatial manipulation faster than species who have evolved with it for millennia. Sarah's bout was against a temporal echo, a fighter that could create afterimages of its past and future selves to attack simultaneously. As Sarah found herself surrounded by versions of her opponent from different points in time, she took a deep breath and centered herself. Her movements became a fluid blend of Kung Fu, Aikido, and Kalarapayattu. She flowed between the temporal echoes, her strikes seeming to transcend time itself. Each movement was both an attack and a setup for future strikes, creating a complex web of cause and effect that left her opponent tangled in its own temporal manipulations. The Centaurian judge's eyes widened in awe. Extraordinary! The human has weaponized the concept of time itself, turning temporal advantage into a liability. But it was Jack's match that once again captivated the entire arena. His opponent was a cosmic harmonizer, a being that could attune itself to the fundamental frequencies of the universe, using them to enhance its strength and speed to near infinite levels. The human team, now expanded to include aliens who had eagerly absorbed their teachings, faced off against a coalition of the galaxy's most formidable martial artists. But as the match began, it quickly became clear that this was no ordinary competition. Aisha moved in perfect synchronization with a quantum entangler, their movements blurring the lines between capoeira and quantum manipulation. As they danced across the arena, they left trails of probability waves that confounded and amazed their opponents in equal measure. Raj and a psionic amplifier had developed a hybrid technique that blended Krav Maga with telepathic projection. Their coordinated assault was both physical and mental, each strike accompanied by a pulse of psychic energy that disrupted their opponent's focus and balance. Tank, paired with a dimensional folder, showcased a style that could only be described as 4D boxing. His punches seemed to bend space itself, appearing from impossible angles and with devastating force. The dimensional folder, meanwhile, created pockets of altered space that Tank used as launching pads for aerial maneuvers that defied gravity. Sarah and a temporal echo moved as one, their movements a perfect fusion of past, present, and future. They seemed to exist in multiple moments simultaneously, each action setting up attacks that had already happened and countering moves that were yet to come. But it was Jack and the Cosmic Harmonizer who truly embodied the spirit of this new era. Their performance was nothing short of a cosmic symphony. Jack's voice, imbued with the wisdom of human history, blended seamlessly with the harmonizer's attunement to universal frequencies. Together, they wove a tapestry of sound and motion that resonated with the very fabric of reality. As the final match reached its crescendo, something extraordinary happened. The boundaries between teams began to blur. Competitors flowed between groups, exchanging techniques, combining strengths, and covering each other's weaknesses. What had started as a contest evolved into a breathtaking display of cooperative martial artistry. The arena erupted in a jubilant roar as the assembled beings realized they were witnessing not just the end of a tournament, but the birth of a new galactic culture. As the dust settled and the cosmic energies dissipated, Grandmaster Xalax once again took center stage. His eyes shimmered with emotion as he addressed the galaxy. "My fellow beings," he began, his voice carrying to the farthest reaches of known space, "today, we have witnessed a miracle. We came here as separate species, divided by physiology, culture, and cosmic distances. We leave as one galactic community, united by the universal language of martial arts." He turned to the human team, bowing deeply. "To our friends from Earth, we owe a debt that can never be fully repaid. You came to us as strangers, seen as fragile and primitive. You leave as teachers, innovators, and catalysts of a cosmic renaissance." Sarah stepped forward, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "Grandmaster," she said, her voice steady, "we came here to learn and to share. What we found was a family we never knew we had. The techniques we've developed together, the bonds we've forged, they're just the beginning." Jack, his weathered face creased in a smile, added, "Where we come from, we have a saying. The journey is the destination. This tournament may be ending, but our collective journey is just beginning." In the days that followed, the impact of the Galactic Martial Arts Tournament rippled across the cosmos. The Zephyrian Academy was transformed into an intergalactic center for cultural exchange and cooperative learning. Beings from thousands of worlds flocked to learn not just new fighting techniques, but new ways of thinking, creating, and coexisting. Human martial arts dojos sprang up on distant planets, while alien training centers appeared in cities across Earth. The boundaries between species blurred as hybrid martial arts forms proliferated, each one a unique expression of cosmic harmony. But the influence extended far beyond the realm of martial arts. The spirit of adaptability, creativity, and cooperation that humans had brought to the tournament began to permeate every aspect of galactic society. Scientific breakthroughs accelerated as researchers from different species pooled their knowledge and perspectives. Diplomatic relations flourished as former adversaries found common ground through shared training. A year after the tournament, on the anniversary of humanity's debut on the galactic stage, a grand celebration was held at the Zephyrian Academy. As fireworks painted the sky and beings from across the cosmos mingled in joyous harmony, Grandmaster Xalax raised a toast. "To the human spirit," he proclaimed, his voice carrying across the assembled multitudes, "which taught us that true strength lies not in conquering others, but in lifting each other up. And to the bright future we will forge together, one technique, one idea, one moment of understanding at a time." As the celebration continued long into the night, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter. The galaxy had entered a new age of enlightenment, sparked by the unexpected consequences of teaching humans alien martial arts. And somewhere in the cosmic dance of planets and stars, the universe itself seemed to smile, knowing that its children had taken one more step towards realizing their boundless potential. The Galactic Martial Arts Tournament had ended, but the true adventure, the grand journey of cosmic cooperation and creativity, had only just begun.